Welcome to the Mom Boss Podcast, the show where motherhood meets business and everything in between. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Let's get started. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Mom Boss Podcast. This is our first ever guest. And what is really exciting about that is I was her first ever guest on her podcast. And she is the one who's like, let's just soft launch next week. Let's do it. So here we are with Gina Paulson. Gina, hi.
Hello. I love a good soft launch, and I will always be the person in your back pocket to push you to do so.
I think this is actually more of like a hard lunch. Like it's like you're just going for it.
Nothing soft about it. No.
There's
Yeah.
nothing soft about this. Okay, cool. Well, basically, I just, I wanted to have you on. You're a perfect first guest because we are very similar. You are a doer of all the things. You want to make sure that you are squeezing like all the lemon juice out of the lemon. Like you are getting the most of your life experience. You're like, here, let me have a calligraphy business. You know what? Actually, I'm going to coach at an all women's gym. No, you know what? I'm going to just go dive into this photography business and I'm going to crush it in the gym too and have abs, which isn't really fair, but it's fine. And then, yeah, you're doing all the things, education, podcast. I saw you've got a big launch that you just had. I saw your email the other day. So I want you to talk about that. So if you'll do me a favor and just introduce yourself, talk about all the things that you're up to and we'll start from there.
I mean, I loved that intro, but I'm Gina. I'm a wedding and elopement photographer based in the Pacific Northwest. I do weddings. I coach at a gym, like Bailey said, and I coach other photographers in their businesses as well. So that's kind of my triangle, I think you would say. And then I'm also a mom to two littles. So yeah.
How is, oh yeah. And David.
Oh, and I'm married
You're
to my husband. Yes.
And shout out David. How is Hayden's all red every day? Like, how's that going? Tell us a little bit about,
Yeah.
the
This is the
red.
fun part of mom life. My son is 3.5, and he is in a phase of red only, and he will only wear red from head to toe, underwear, socks, hat, coat. Nothing cannot be all red either. Like it can't have like a line of black on it because then it's not red. Some days would only eat red. So his lunches, I was like coming up with creative ways to like fill his little bento box with red food. It's still going strong. He's been teasing me like, I like yellow and red, so he'll put like a yellow shirt on. So he put a yellow shirt on this week, and during breakfast started crying. It was the saddest thing I've ever seen. And started crying and it was like, Mama, I just don't like the yellow and red, and I don't like the yellow. I was like, Bud, that's okay. Go put your red shirt on. Like we've got 27 of them now. So yeah, we're still in the thick of the red, and it's honestly, he's so cute in all red, luckily. But it's not my favorite color at all. Like I would have gone so hard with a beige, a black, a white, gray, brown. Yeah, no, we're full sending it on the red right now. Still in it. We're a
And
month.
as a photographer, it's like, oh my God, the red. The
Oh,
red.
red. The why of all the colors, like a blue would have been better. Green would have been better, but it's
Yeah.
okay.
No,
It's okay.
we love
We were
this.
worried it was like an OCD thing. I mean, I still kind of am, but
Yeah.
I've Googled it and then talked to his little teachers, and they say that kids can go through a phase. So we're just hoping it's a phase. Yeah.
Well, I love it anyway. What's your favorite color? I mean, besides beige.
I always say yellow because it's like a happy color.
Yeah. That's so funny that he's like so distraught by the yellow.
Oh, it was a very sad emotional moment. Like it was almost like he was trying to fight it.
Well, that's awesome. No, I love that. I mean, it's so fun to get to lean into what our kids like and like watch them grow and change. And obviously, 3-year-old little boys, they are something else.
Very
Like they're
special,
special.
yeah.
They are
Yeah.
special. Oh my gosh. How lucky. Okay, so Gina shot my wedding back in 2018, and I have forced my friendship upon her, and now there's no
Yeah,
turning back. It's
we
like,
accepted it though. It was
yeah,
it was a mutual force and
yeah. It's
acceptance.
like, oh, twist my arm. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's been really fun to just watch you grow in your business and in motherhood. And, I'm going to start us off with just like one of the strong questions. I'm curious how motherhood has changed you as a business owner.
I mean, there's so many ways, right? And I think anyone who's like a mom and running a business or starting a business or even just like involved in a business, like all of the sudden everything shifts and changes. And it's funny because I was on a podcast right I don't know if I was pregnant with Hayden or it was like right after Hayden was born. And I was on a podcast and he brought me on to talk about adventure elopements and like traveling. And at the time, before kids, I liked to travel a lot. Like I wanted to be gone. I wanted to book weddings all over the world and that kind of thing. And so I think it must have been after Hayden was born because like I no longer wanted that. And it was a major shift in my business where I was like, okay, I want to be home at least in our bed as much as possible on the weekends. So a little bit less traveling would be nice. I want to be like available like as needed for him. So all of a sudden like this business that I'd been chasing, like I want to book Mexico weddings and like Europe, like send me to Europe and like send us overnight, send me and my husband
Mhm.
overnight. Like all of a sudden I was like, yeah, we're hard shut down on that. Like maybe once a year, but like otherwise I want
Yeah,
to be like tucking my kid into bed
yeah.
or at home so I can like get him out of bed in the morning as many nights of the year as possible. So
Oh,
it was a really
yeah.
interesting, yeah, thing like to go on this podcast and he's like asking me these questions and I was like, mm, so we've kind of shift. We're transitioning.
Yeah.
It's
Wow. Gosh, that's
but we
so true.
did.
That's yeah, you really did.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so cool. It's been fun to watch your business transition throughout, like from the weddings. I mean, you obviously do a ton of weddings, but you've shifted it. You've started to embrace families
Yeah.
and other like types of things and you whereas before maybe you didn't take as many families. Like
Yeah.
you've
I
started
used
to
to say
shift.
no to kids in maternity. Ugh. And yeah, families. I just it wasn't my thing. And then once you have a kid
Mhm.
and you know just like how valuable those photos are to me and how special that time was, like all of a sudden I was like, wow, I can get behind this. I'm still gonna shoot weddings, but like
Yeah.
now getting to do life with those people and like knowing them and knowing that
Mhm.
feeling, like it just hits different. So yeah, it definitely opened that little door a little bit into families a little
Oh,
bit.
it's one of those things where once you become a mom, you kinda see things through a different lens, if you will. I you just cherish those moments, you cherish them for your clients, and you obviously cherish
Mhm.
them as a mom yourself. I mean, whoever says that motherhood has not changed their business, I'd love to talk to them.
Yeah, let's get them on the show
Like,
because I
do a
have some
study.
questions.
So, you had this life before, you had this business, this huge business that you've built from the ground up, and was there anything that it kind of made you fear motherhood? Or, like, was there anything that yeah, was there something that you feared about becoming a mom and how it would affect your business and in a negative or maybe even in a positive way, but something that you're kinda scared of
Yeah.
beforehand?
Yeah. I think especially with wedding photography, it's just such a time demanding s- like photography, whatever. So I did fear a little bit, like, and also with wedding photography, you book it so far out. So like I already knew my entire summer for like the year after Hayden was gonna be born. That was my first kid. And so I feared like I knew there was going to be change. And after, before the first kid, you don't know what it's going to be. Like you hear stories about like women that their hormones completely change who they are. You hear like they have like really terrible births and like it takes them like months and months and months to like physically recover. So first of all, there's like that fear of just the unknown,
Yeah,
right? Like what is it going to be? So I feared like change a little bit, just knowing there's going to be change, but not knowing what it was going to be. I knew there was going to be like, I mean, as business owners in general, without kids, there's already a
yeah,
struggle with balance. And then
mhm,
I knew throwing a kid into that is just going to be like even more so. How do I continue to do what I'm doing now, but also give just as much to this baby? So I knew
mhm,
that was like a fear of mine. And then I think when I found out I was pregnant and I knew we were going to be having kids and starting a family, like this weird fear of failure kind of creeped in a little bit
mhm,
too, where you're like, I want to succeed, like to
yeah,
show my kids, like, yeah, like I have this business and like your mom like can do this too. Like she can do more
yeah,
than just be a mom. Not that
mhm.
just be a mom should ever be a sentence.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right, right, right.
Yeah, it just like it was like another set of eyes that I knew was gonna always be on me. So there was like also this weird fear of failure as well going into it all. It's just a lot of unknown.
I wanted to talk to you about balance. You mentioned finding the balance, being able to be a mother and a business owner and a wife and a workout phenomenon. I worked out next to you today, girl. I was like, you saw me after the workout. I'm still red. I was dying. I was like, okay, okay. Keep up with you before, but that was wild. But with finding balance, I'm curious what you have done to find balance for yourself in your business with motherhood. Like you had a really, really, really good summer and fall. And I'm curious what maybe changes you made or what you were very mindful of during that season and that you
Yeah.
could share with other moms.
Yeah. And what I will say before I say this is that it took me 2 kids to figure this out. So I did not
Absolutely.
have Yes, I did not have the balance.
Mhm.
Hayden's first year of life was just it was booked out, it was craziness, and I learned a lot that summer on what I wanted it to look like. So that first summer, I think I was, like, in the high 20s of weddings, I was on the road still. He was a baby, so he just came.
Yeah,
My whole family came and brought the baby. And I learned a lot that summer about, okay, next year, as I'm starting to book out, like, what do I want life to look like in the future?
hmm,
So it's a lot of like forecasting in the future and then making those adjustments when you can. I think one thing I realized was that I didn't enjoy shooting weddings closer into the holidays. Like I really wanted to
hmm,
be like holiday mode, like shut it down kind of
hmm.
early. So I mean, as it gets closer to fall, I kind of do shut down my wedding calendar a little bit and I set a number on the number of weddings throughout the year. So that was something different. I used to just take on as many as I possibly
Yeah,
could. Now I have like a happy number that after that, like I don't need anymore. And I have to like remember that every time I say yes, like I'm saying no to like time with the kids. Um,
totally.
yeah, and it will shift your entire mindset around that, like, when you start to prioritize what's the most important thing, and then, like, are when you have that number and you know that you're so, like, solid in that number, like, you don't need more, then and why are you doing all of this anyways? It's to spend time with your kids, to spend time with your family. So, just,
Totally.
like, having that confidence in that vision and that plan that allows you to say no to those other things. So, setting that boundary of numbers, setting that boundary of my calendar, like shutting it down towards the end of the year,
Mhm.
knowing that I've already hit what I needed to hit. And then I think also was a shift and a challenge that I wasn't actually very happy with at first. I wasn't used to it. Was the time blocking of my day. So Hayden, once he goes to school now, he's there. We pick him up around 3. So now I know from like it's like 10:30 to 3 as is my working window. Whereas before kids, I would work from like 8 to midnight, like
Yeah,
no big
yeah,
deal, no
mhm,
casual. And now I have this window where it's like, okay, I have to get all of this done in this window. How can I get it done? And so I think that it changed. It was like for the good. It was like for the bad. Like I didn't like it, but it was for the good. Now, yeah, 3 o'clock, I'm a mom. Like I
yeah.
shut it down. Yeah. So yeah.
I love that. It goes against everything we as entrepreneurs have ever known to, like, "Do you have ADHD? Undiagnosed? Are you diagnosed? Are you medicated?"
I don't know if I do. I'm not sure. I'm not
Yeah,
diagnosed,
yeah.
but who knows?
Well, I was
Yeah.
just kinda curious because it is one of the great mysteries in life to me how people are so good at time blocking. I'm getting there. I am working very hard to get there. So I was that's actually it brings me kinda to my next question, but you kind of already answered it. But I'm curious what a day for you looks like maybe even a week. You don't have to, like, go into the nitty-gritty, like, but
Yeah.
I'm curious, do you everything that you ever read is, like, time block or
Yeah.
do your emails this day, do your admin this day, do your shooting on these days, do your editing on these I'm curious if you do have a secret sauce to your routine or if there's anything you wanna share or some advice to creating a time blocking window.
I would say that I don't have, like, every single day like that. I know I've read that too where it's like and I mean, there are definitely days where I try to, like especially, like, things like Instagram, that requires, like, a lot of my, like, creative genius. So I do try to, like I'm really creative at night with that. So, like, usually, like, bedtime, that's, like, when those wheels turn for me, unfortunately, because like, I'd rather be sleeping, but, like, I get really creative then. So, usually ideas will come to me at night. So I save that for that, and I'll just put them in my notes and then record them or whatever I'm gonna do the next day. But when I look at my week, I would say like first I like have to put in my priorities, which are like one is like my health and my fitness. So like that's the first thing my husband and I do every Sunday is like we block out that like our workouts. And I'm like lucky enough he does 5 a.m. every day, so I'm still asleep.
Same with
But we
Ellen,
make
same
sure
with
that
Ellen.
yeah. We make sure that each one of us like gets that time to like make sure we can have time for ourselves and like be our best selves, so then we can like give to the rest of our lives, right? Then we start to
Mhm.
block out the kids stuff, like things that are like must do's, like Hayden goes to school or Hayden has basketball practice, like there's that. So then you have this window of like, okay, here's your working window of the week, what needs
Yeah.
to get done, and then it's prioritizing within there. So if you have a shoot, you know those photos are going to need to get edited. So whenever I have a shoot on my calendar week, the next day is like editing, right? And so that changes week to week because I don't always have
Yeah.
a shoot, whatever. What I did last year was I tried to not do shoots back to back days. So that also really,
Yeah.
like, I mean, my editing queue has never been as short as it was last summer, which was awesome. But I was able to just like shoot, edit, deliver almost
Mhm.
like rapid fire. It was really awesome. So that's like one thing that I would block into the week if I saw that on my
Mhm.
calendar. One thing also that changed last year was I was blocking off Mondays for computer days. So that was like emails, website, back end stuff,
Mhm.
not shooting and not editing. So that was like a huge thing that I think shifted for me. I launched a course last year and that's how I did it. Was like
Mhm.
Mondays were that was part of that day. So it's kind of like
Yeah.
if you have goals that you want to hit outside of your business, like you're not working in your business, you're working on your business, like you need a day a week to commit to that kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, I love that. I started doing that too. Mondays are admin days. And so it
Mhm.
does. It becomes like those are the days I respond to my emails and I make sure that
Yeah.
like, that's the day I work the most. No, I mean, I love that. I think that's so cool. I think that time blocking as somebody who is and I'm sure you could relate. I'm like, "Ooh, shiny. Oh, shiny. Ooh, I wanna do that too." Like, "Oh, I wanna
Yes.
make time for that." As somebody who is like that, it's a big deal to time block. So I think that this is good for anybody who's listening who's like, "Oh, I could never do that. I don't have the brain for that. I don't have the patience or the discipline to do something like that." I think, like, let it be known that creatives are capable of doing stuff like that. ADHD people, neurodivergent people are capable, and you can make it work if you really want it. So I think that's good advice. That was like,
Yeah.
I
I
think that
think
I needed to
also
hear that.
and I another like I forget who even told me this one time, but like they basically said have like a parking lot sticky note at your desk or by your bed or whatever. And that's like where so like as you're like editing or whatever, and you have these ideas that would normally be like shiny thing, let's go do that.
Mhm.
Write it down, and that way it's like not circulating in your brain and taking up that power, but it's there so you can come back to it. So I like have
Yeah.
really, I mean, I have like a parking lot list. Look at this pad also, by the way. It's like vertical, and I really like it for like that reason. It's like I don't know.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just that's my child's, but this side is my side.
That's not your
So,
side? That's not your
yeah,
doodle?
I think it's a really like a vertical notepad. I
Yes.
really, really enjoyed this. Like, it's just like
Mhm.
there's things, and then they just get checked off, and then there's like the next
Yes.
page. So, anyways, side note, yeah,
Oh, I love that. I love a good list. Oh, I'm a list girly.
you
I
can be both.
love, like I have a vertical notepad like
Mhm,
that.
mhm.
I also put a lot in my I never used to do this, but I put a lot in my phone or in my
Oh
notes,
yeah,
but that's where
mhm.
my brain dump goes, is I'm like,
Yeah,
"But
brain dump.
I wanna
I
get
like.
off my phone." Like, I wanna, like, you know? So I like that little sticky note, like something that can stick on your computer or something. You sparked a question in me. Actually, there's like 3 that I need to, like, hone in. I really Here we go, Bailey, use the brain muscles, get them focused. Oh, I wanted to know, this is maybe more on, like, a more serious note or maybe, like, more on a motherhood note. I'm curious if there's anything that you've struggled with in motherhood that you've had to really like, you have this 100 megawatt smile. You are always in a good mood. You are always, like, this, and this, is there anything that you've struggled with? Is there a recipe that has kept you happy? Is
No.
there, like I'm curious how you can get like, what are you doing? What drugs are you on? No, I'm just
You
kidding.
want yeah, no, no, no. I get no, I am though. So I am a very happy person in general and a very
Yeah,
high energy person as well. But there's everybody has moments and I don't always showcase
yeah.
them because that's just not a part of
Oh,
like
yeah.
me.
Boring.
I also like just don't give them time and energy. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
you need to like get out of this right now. Something that helps me stay in that up happy, I don't know, not
Gratitude.
struggling, gratitude, way I'm gonna call it a way of life because it is. I like try to infuse it in everything that I do, is the people that I surround myself with. And I am very ruthless in eliminating people and things in my life that are not serving me in that moment, or fueling me, or if it starts to make me not feel good about myself, like it's an immediate no. And
Mhm.
I've lost friendships over this. I've lost, I don't like, activities and curricular things like that, but it's just recognizing that like this is not good for me right now, and you
Mhm.
can always come back to it, but if it's not serving you, like it should not be a part of it. You have so many minutes in a day
Yeah,
that you need to
totally.
surround yourself with only the best and the most positive things that you possibly can. So the
Yep.
people that are in my life are in my life for a reason, and the people that are in my day to day, that's it. That speaks huge volumes to them, because I also keep them in my day to day. Like I hold on to those people very tightly.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm lucky enough. My mom is like one of the most positive people, and so she's like someone that like if I'm starting to have like a doubt, like she will pull me out of that in
Mhm.
her own way that she does that. So I think if you can find that kind of support system, and recognize when you are feeling that way, because that's okay. We all
Yep.
do. I do as well.
Yep.
And
Right.
but it's how can we turn this around? That's always my first
Totally.
question. Like I just feel like crap today. Like, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go
Mhm.
get coffee with this person because she
Mhm.
always gives me energy or makes me laugh, or
Yeah.
and it's a
Mhm.
10-minute fix, right? It can turn your day around so fast.
Totally.
And just not giving life to that feeling.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be tired. I'm always tired. We don't sleep in this house. That's
Yeah.
different than being down, and you know what I'm saying? So,
Overwhelmed. Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, do not get me wrong. Motherhood, especially those first few months, is so
Yeah.
hard. And it
Yeah.
is so hard. And I was not like this every day of, especially the first few
Yeah.
months. No. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's good to remember that, everything is temporary and, you do have to let go of things that don't serve you. I worked with someone and he used to say, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no.
I love that.
Um, and so I was like, gosh, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no.
Yeah.
And, that's something that as a recovering people pleaser, somebody who wants to do all the things, people who maybe do say yes more than they should, it's good to remember like, how is this serving me? Is it pushing me towards my goals? You had a post the other day that's like, "Sorry, I have plans." And then
Yeah.
you're like, "The plans."
Yeah.
And it's like your kids, shooting weddings, education, working out. And it's
Yeah.
like, "Those are my plans, and I will find
Mhm.
a way to fit you into those plans."
Yeah.
But, like, you want them to give you, like, the energy like, it's good to bring those
Goes both
positive
ways.
vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so true. It's kinda like, here's the road that I'm on, and I'd love
yeah,
for us to be on the road somewhere together, but if we're not on the same
mhm.
road right now, if we're that happens too. I've learned
Yes.
that
Yes.
especially with kids with different ages. Like, your kids are just such a huge part of your life that it gets hard. Friendship gets hard as you're running a business and you have
Friendship gets
kids.
hard.
Hard. But, it's
Yeah,
making the time also for I mean, I feel like that's where I got really ruthless with my friendships, was like, I now have even less time than I had before. And
yeah,
so in that small time, like who do I choose? Who am I choosing right
totally,
now? Yeah, who do I
totally.
want to be in those spots?
What did you learn from your own mom, shout out Peacock, that you've brought into your own parenting journey? What is it that you saw your mom do that you're like, I want to emulate that with my own family? You could say your dad too, but this is the Mom Boss podcast. I'd love to know how your mom influenced your parenting journey. Peacock.
That's a peacock. That's a good question. For people that don't know, my son calls my mom Peacock, and we have no idea why. She was pushing so hard for like Gam Gam or Grammy or Gammy or something cute. And he, like, at 1.5, 2, started saying Peacock, like called her that. We don't know. And it stuck so hard. So, anyways, that she's
It's
Peacock.
so cute.
It
It's so
is
cute.
so funny. Yes. But I mean, it's so, when you become a mom, and you look back at your own mom, it opens your eyes in her light, like in putting her in a light that you'd never seen before, and like an appreciation that you can't even put into words. Like it is like I just don't know how she did it, and how she still does it now with her grandbabies and us. But my mom, I would say one thing that I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. Mom, I love you. She is like she's like me. We are very
Mhm.
positive. We also don't dwell in the negative. And so I would say that she never let me dwell in the negatives or the downs, or it was always like keep going. Let's go be happy. Let's go do things that like pick us up. And so the good thing about that is I learned how to do that from a very young age. The bad thing
Mhm,
about that is like I never had to work through the
mhm,
downs. So
mhm.
I would say like, and so it's funny now, like Hayden, he's kind of like the same way a little bit, which is funny. It's like I don't even know if I intentionally do that to him, but there's things he's done where I'm like even like his hugs. Like he's like a quick hug and like we're moving
Yeah,
on
yeah,
kind of guy. And like
yeah.
that's me too. And so I would say like she's very much like high energy, high
Mhm,
paced. And like now I'm like that too with my even my own kids. So we
mhm.
live a lifestyle that's just very much like
Yeah, yeah, and I love it. I
yeah,
love it. Your
I mean
mom's awesome. Yeah,
yeah, she is awesome. I mean, and then otherwise, just like literally, she gave like every single ounce of her energy and time to us
yeah,
and still does. And I
yeah,
hope that someday, like, I can emulate that in some version to my own kids. Like, I want them to look at me and just know that I absolutely have their back without question, hesitation.
yeah,
I will always be there, and that's something like I know
yeah,
about my mom too.
yeah. Where do you think you got your work ethic from? Where do you
Mm.
think you got that kinda like, "We are doing this, and I'm gonna," and you're doing it. Like, you don't half-ass a whole ass thing, you whole ass it, you know?
We
I'm
will ask
curious where
things.
you got that. We whole ass things.
Yeah, I mean, so like, I'm gonna ask you, do you think it's in our DNA, or do you think it's like a life experience, like lesson that we learned?
Isn't that the age-old question? I like, is it nature or nurture? Is it I
Yeah, and or
think
is it a little of both?
yeah. I mean, I think it's so interesting because my brother is also an entrepreneur. My
Mhm,
mom has always had 50 jobs. You know,
mhm.
like, she
Yeah,
always has a business idea. My grandpa is one of the hardest workers I know. My grandmother, one of the hardest workers I know. You know, it's like, I mean, that's just my great-grandparents had their own restaurant. You know, like,
so yeah,
it's built in me to be kind of in that entrepreneurial world,
yep,
but it is very interesting because it's like, did I learn that because of my family, or is it just like, is it in our blood? Like,
yeah, yeah.
it's, like, so interesting. That is a really good question. What are your thoughts?
I mean, so my dad had a business always my whole life. I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit of, seeing my parents work really hard, and then also a little bit of, I think, like when I got into sports, there was a lot of encouragement and support and motivation around that too. So you kind of learn that like work ethic and team
Mhm.
sport kind of mentality.
Absolutely.
Right? And then I mean, and then that translates into school as well, and I was surrounded by, like, friends who were like we were, like, ASB people. We were the ASB kids, like, we were doing the
Cool.
clubs and the activities and, like, building our what was the thing called that you resume or whatever for high school kids to get
Yeah,
into
what
college,
yeah,
right? That I didn't really need to do at this point in my life, but it's fine because I learned so many other lessons along the way. So it's like I think as like I was just lucky enough. I mean, I've always been a hard worker, but lucky enough to also surround myself by other hard workers. And so it
totally.
just showed me like that's what you do. And so
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know. I
yeah,
don't I a little bit of my blood, a little bit of my life.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I do think, oh gosh, the power of sports is, I mean, what we could go on and on about this, but it is
Yeah.
fun to, like, see the kids starting to get into sports and, like, just know that, gosh, there are so many positives. I think that's one of the hardest things as being a solopreneur. And you mentioned it earlier, like how you kind of like pull yourself up and out as you surround yourself with people and you're very picky about who you surround yourself with. I think I mean, it speaks to this community that we've created in the Mom Boss meetup. And like it is so important. The village is so important. The village that
Mhm.
we've been told about, that you kind of have to create and curate yourself, and people aren't just going to show up for you unless you put in that effort and that work, and you find the people, like, you create your MySpace top 8. Does that, like, speak to how old we are? It's fine.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, so, like, curating your own village, finding the people that are most important to, like, uh, supporting your family goals, your business goals, and your personal
Mhm.
goals. And I mean, today you texted me and said, "Hey, are you going to come to 9:45 workout?" And I was not going to. This was at 9:05, and I was like, "I don't know, still deciding." And then I was like, "You know what? She just reached out to me and like,
Oh,
You, like, made sure you're like, okay, you checked in. You were like, it was like a, "Hey, are you coming?" And it's like, "Oh, that was really thoughtful." Like, that's I wouldn't have come. Like, I mean, like, not that I wouldn't have come, but I was kinda like, "Oh, I'm feeling kinda run down this week. It would
Yeah.
be so much easier to skip." But somebody held me accountable, and I think that as a solopreneur, it's so hard when people aren't holding you accountable. It's so easy to, you know, skip the thing you're supposed to do, the very adult thing, the call you're supposed to make, the website you're supposed to create, the whatever, the content you're supposed to post. How do you hold yourself accountable? What is it do you have external people holding you accountable? Like, is David, are you guys checking in every Sunday? What, like, or is this super intrinsic? Or I'm just curious, like, how do you hold yourself accountable? Keep yourself focused besides the routine and stuff, but like,
Yeah.
what are some things that kind of help you?
Yeah, I did have a business coach last year, and then I have one starting in February. So I do try to like bring someone into my business each year. Whether it's I've had a few different ones over the years, and actually I've also had like even like nutrition coaches and things like that.
Mhm,
So one thing I've learned about myself is that if I put money into it, if I invest in whatever it is for myself, like the results are going to happen because I've put money in. So I learned that actually with nutrition coaching is I would pay the coach and for the 3 months and then I would go off of it and like I'd hang on to it for a while, but like not like I did when I had that one-on-one coach. Someone's going to be checking
mhm.
in for me. I paid for this, so I want to get every single penny worth.
Yep.
And the same thing kind of goes with the business coaches that I've had. So whenever I put money into a coach, like my work ethic like skyrockets because
Yep.
I'm like I better get my money's back from whatever I just paid.
Yeah.
So that's definitely one. I will also say my husband and we do talk like every night kind of between bath time and stuff. And we'll check in with each other, but he kind of generally knows like what I'm working on in my business and my life. And I kind of have an idea of like what he's working on in his business and his life. And so we'll do like casual, check-ins. He's definitely someone that I love picking his brain about. He's so business oriented and really, really
Yeah.
genius in that realm. So whenever without burning him out too much, I do try to like pick his brain all the time and have him as my business coach. But yeah, so I would say like having it's people, it's
Yeah.
surrounding yourself with the people that are going to build you up because like motherhood, if I'm home all day with the baby, I'm not
Mhm.
it's not they're not going to build you up. And alone I
Yeah.
can't do it. So I can do
Right.
more with the right support system. So that's kind of like I try to hire a coach once or twice a year, have like my husband, and then I do have a notebook that I get brain things out of and I
Yeah.
revisit all the
Yeah.
time. So that's kind of
Yeah.
it.
You and David, I mean, you guys tell everybody how long you've been together. And
We've been together since high school. So I don't know math anymore, but
you don't have to say
2000,
how long, but, you know.
yeah, and again, aging us.
Mm.
2006, there we go.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so a while, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. Like, you've just, like, built this friendship, and I mean, you guys have just done a really good job. Obviously, like, I don't know your day to day, but you guys seem to be really happy.
It's actually hating
You're like, "Actually, don't bring up David's name. David."
David,
No,
ew,
David.
David,
Okay.
David.
But no, I think it's really cool how you guys can support each other in business. Do you ever feel this is gonna be a crazy question, and I'm not gonna I don't think this puts David on the spot
I hope
because I
it
don't
does.
think that this is the case, but kinda does. Wait, side note before I go to my question. Do you remember did I ever tell you that I thought you were David's mom? Like, when I saw somebody
I
had
hope
gotten their
it's not
photos
you
done.
when you saw me.
No, no, no. So, somebody had gotten their photos done by Gina Paulson Photography or whatever, and I was like,
Oh,
"Oh, I didn't know David's mom took photos." So, anyway, that's a
okay,
total side. And then obviously I saw you and I was like, "Oh, he's married."
Mary is a lady.
It's his little old lady, not his
She's a
mom.
lady. Yeah. Oh my
I
god,
oh,
I'm
I
dead.
was dying. I was like so I always think of that. Like, I'm like, "Oh, remember when I thought Gina was David's mom?" So, anyway, okay. Anyway, I'm curious, do you ever feel the weight of being a default parent? Does that, conversation ever come up between you and David? I'm just curious if you had to face any of that, and if so, if you guys found a way past it and what you do now to avoid it, if anything.
Yeah. I mean, I think we still are we still deal with that. That's I was
Yeah.
literally thinking about that this morning. Not in again, it's not in a
Yeah.
negative way. It's in a way so David, for example, today had to catch the train to Seattle. And so when he leaves for Seattle, like everything falls onto me, lunches, getting out the door, all the things. And then we also had both of our grandmas who watch Ellie were gone this week. So like then David is going to work every day. So like I am the default parent. So this
Mhm.
week like work was really hard. And so there's definitely days where I was like making the bed and I'm just like annoyed
Yeah.
at the fact that
Yeah.
like it does default to me. So what
Yeah.
I caught myself doing was recognizing like, okay, why am I being so salty right now? Because
Mhm.
I've had a job before. I've had a 9 to 5 job before. And this is exactly what I wanted was I
Yeah.
wanted the flexibility to be able to be in this position right here. So like you need to just like turn your mindset around, Gina,
Mhm.
because this is what you wanted. So then
Yeah.
what happens though is if we stay in that cycle of a few days in a row me not getting any work done and him continuing his normal life probably totally unaware of that I'm even feeling
Totally
this way,
unaware.
I eventually
Mhm.
snap and I'm like frustrated and short with him. And then it takes him finally being like, what is going on with you? And then I will have to voice
Yeah.
that like I'm feeling that way. And then what happens is
Yeah.
he steps up, right? Like he's like, okay, I'll do
Mhm.
bedtime tonight. You can go work for a couple hours. Or,
Mhm.
and what we've learned over the last 2 years with 3 years with kids,
Yeah.
almost 4 years. I don't know what year I'm in, is that
Me either.
it all comes down to communication. And every time we have even like an argument or we start to get short with each other, like while we're making dinner, like we both have to just be like,
Mhm.
okay, what's going
Yeah.
on here?
Yeah.
This is not us. So like it's
Mhm.
just recognizing that and also like like vocalizing it,
Absolutely. Vocalizing.
right?
Vocalizing, verbalizing. I think same,
Yeah.
same. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Oh, yeah.
everything is figure outable, and
Yep.
there is
Mhm.
time for it all, even if it's late into the night for one of you
Yep.
or early in the morning for one of you, but you have to do it together, and I think that's
Totally.
kind of been something that we are working on, we've worked on, we are always continuing to work on, so,
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna change,
I
I think, with kids in school, kids out of school, like,
Yep.
all just the continuous communication is just, like, it has to be there or, like, that ship falls apart.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you said a couple of really good things. I mean, communication, key. And there are going to be seasons, like you mentioned, like, this will change when the kids get into full-time school. This will change when XYZ happens. Like, these things ebb and flow. I think, there's a lot of negativity around being the default parent. I think it's really easy to get caught up in. It's really easy to get frustrated with your partner, like in that. Like, I mean, Kellen and I deal with it all the time too. And so you're right, like clear communication and having the partner that steps up when you
Yes.
do verbalize it. That's honestly like how lucky are we to have that? And so making sure, I think for any mom listening, like, I think it's just so important, verbalize and find a way for them to, like, take something off your plate. Like,
Yeah.
I Kellen and I started, doing Sunday night meetings, and, like, we meet and we go over our calendar for the week, and I'm
Mhm.
like, "Okay, can you take the kids this day, and this day to my grandparents?" And,
Yeah.
like, maybe he's like, "Oh, I can't this day." And I'm like, "Okay, I have to figure something out." So like you said, like that clear communication and setting your expectations appropriately. So I
Yeah.
think that is totally spot on.
I love that because it kind of brings it back to, like, we're actually a team. Like, I know it doesn't
Yeah,
feel like it when you're defaulted on, like, you kind of feel
yeah,
alone. But
yeah.
ultimately, like, he's at work to support the family
Mhm,
too. Like, it's and
mhm.
I mean, I know Kellen and David, they're probably both the same way, but, like, David would love to be home. Like, he would be
Says that all
killer
the
staying
time.
home. He would be so much better than me, to be
Yeah,
quite honest.
totally,
Less productive, but,
totally.
like, so good with the kids. And
100%.
yes, but that's just not how it works for us right now. So it's just
Yeah.
like recognizing like the balance of the ecosystem. We are now an
Mhm.
ecosystem, our
We
family,
are an
and
eco
and we must keep balance.
the stuff you never thought you'd bring from 7th grade science class. Like, I never thought I'd talk about that again, but here we are bringing
No,
up the
I'm sure that was
ecosystem.
entirely incorrect.
No, it's true. It's true. I it's not incorrect. No, I absolutely I agree, on those guys being incredible stay-at-home dads, trophy
Yeah,
husbands, whatever you wanna call them, like, I think they would
they
absolutely crush
crush
it.
it.
It is interesting. I think that sometimes it's frustrating because like, I would give anything to be able to make enough money that you could stay home. Like, I would
Yeah.
love to do that, but I can't do that until you stay home so that I can focus on that. And so I mean, yeah, like, we are so lucky to have
Yeah.
the freedom. You're so right.
Mhm.
What a great way to look at it. Like, this is what I wanted. I wanted
Mhm.
to be able to be home and have that freedom. Now, what is it that I do with my extra 20 minutes or the free 30 minutes that I get while the kids watch a movie or while they do that? Like, how can I maximize my time
Yes.
on days when maybe I don't want to as well?
I yeah, with that, this week, like, has not been a work week for me. I've just been so
Uh-huh.
much in mom mode. So what I
Mhm.
what I did to, like, set myself up for success this week was, like, instead I always have a long to-do list. So I just said, like,
Mhm.
"Okay, here's 3 things I can get done with Ellie on
Yeah.
each one of these days." And so it's getting, like, really real with, like, your actual yeah, setting the right expectations for the day.
Mhm.
'Cause you're gonna be so disappointed if you get to the end of the day and you, like, didn't get all those things done, which
Yeah.
you actually knew you weren't gonna get done anyways because, like, that's impossible.
Mhm.
So, yeah, setting those expectations up for those kind of days is crucial. Crucial.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I mean, just you have to be adaptable. And anybody who's an entrepreneur, any mom boss or mompreneur who's listening to this or is going to get anything out of this, I think it's just really important for them to realize like you have to stay adaptable, like you have to be
Yeah,
moldable, just staying uh, flexible throughout your week
flexible.
for sure.
Yeah, for
Flexible.
sure.
Okay. Speaking of finding business coaches and mentors and doing things like that, tell us a little bit about what you offer. I know that you have a coaching course for 101 like photography basics and then on top of that, do you have any big scary goals that you want to share that you have for 2025 or beyond?
Yeah. So kind of finding more time to be home and not on the road. I'm shifting into education a little bit farther. I feel like over the last like 4 years, I've like got a little bit farther each year. But this
Mhm.
year, like I made a pretty big jump and I have less weddings that I'm shooting and I'm going to be more focused on education. So one thing that I do is one-on-one coaching with photographers. It's all virtual. I work from home. I'm available via an app and basically they can pick my brain at any point with any questions. And then I'm just like kind of there in their back pocket to like one, make
Yeah.
sure they're getting their done, and two, brainstorming with them on like ways that they can grow and scale and like reach the goals that they told me that they were trying to reach.
Yeah.
And then we do a video call every other week. So just like this, but a chat. So we check in and then we can just kind of get like more face to face if there's like specific questions or things like that. So that's one thing that I'm doing. And then I have the online course that's like purely passive. It just lives online. I run ads to it and it sells that way. And then the third thing, this year I have some in-person events, which is really
Yeah.
exciting. And that was a really big scary one for me.
Mhm.
There's like a lot of upfront costs for that type of event and it's like
Mhm.
overnight and it's away from home, but it's for photographers. And so what I've done to make it a little less scary, I mean it's actually still scary, but I've just made sure that every step of the way, like, so I have this vision of what I want it to be. And it's
Mhm.
really easy to once you get into it to like start to like, well, okay, it doesn't I wanted that, but I'm just going to do this. And so what I've kind of done with this one is like, no, this is what I wanted. Like I wanted it to be this good. Like I've waited 4 years for this. Like we're going to make it
Mhm.
as freaking phenomenal as possible. So I'm making sure that the vendors that I hire are like top of the line. The location is like literally the amazing. And I'm just it's going to be it's going to be amazing. I'm very excited for it. It's in the works right now, but yeah, so
Mhm.
that'll be like that's a kind of one big scary goal before wedding
Yeah.
season. So that's like early in the year too. So then I have the whole year to
Yeah.
make more scary goals.
That's awesome. No, I'm very excited for you. I think that it's so cool how you've, yeah, grown and built on your previous year's success. You're doing the scary thing. It's so easy to be like, I want it to be a certain way, and you get caught up on making it perfect. Is there a way that you push through that? How do you find that balance between wanting it to be perfect and not settling?
Yeah. I've like reframed the word perfect. So
Mm,
it's there's no perfect in the world, right? So
no.
it's really just an expectation thing. So for me,
Mhm.
my expectation, like why did I set it to be this? So if I can't have this, what about it? What about that was it that I wanted? So like I mean, I haven't had anything that hasn't worked out yet. So
But
far
yeah,
we're crushing it. But like
yeah.
let's say for example that the planners that I wanted were not available or it wasn't going to work out
Mhm.
with them. Why did I want them part of this? And like who's next? Who can give me that same? So I'm not
Mhm.
settling, but
Yeah.
it's problem solving
Yep.
with confidence, I would say. So I'm just trying to
Yeah.
everything with like a lot of confidence and a lot of like forward momentum. And everything I've booked so far has like built. It's like built as I've continued down this process too. So that momentum is like really forward moving right now, which is awesome.
You build the plane as you're flying it, and you're really good at it.
Yeah. I am known for that, I would say. Yeah, like let's launch a podcast and then like we'll record it like while we're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll just see what's happening. That's how it
Yeah.
goes. I think that's awesome. No, I'm
Yeah.
very excited for you. I'm excited to see what this brings for you.
Me too.
Cool. I have a couple fun questions for you. What would you consider your superpower? I think I already
Mhm.
kind of know what it was based on some of the things you've answered, but I'm curious what you would say your superpower is.
I think my superpower power is I can control the energy in a room like really well. And so if like I want everybody to be miserable and sad, like I can literally I'm kind of like that vampire. I can do that. And but I would say for the most part I use it for really good and I
Yeah.
work really hard to like, bring others up and like pull out people's like sunshine a little bit. So that was kind of my superpower. But I want to know what you were going to say.
Oh, well, I think it's something kinda similar, and not it wasn't the energy in the room, I really, really like that. I really like that. I think I was gonna say that you can find kind of the positive in
Mm,
situations and help, uh, shape your it really is very similar. It can help shape your day, so I thought that was kind of a little superpower of yours.
mm,
I don't think I've ever seen you, like, suck the energy from a room. I'd love to be a fly on the wall when that
yeah.
happens,
Yeah.
so
I
let me
mean, you
know
won't
when
see it because the lights will like out of the ceiling. Like I will shut it down, burn the building.
Okay,
You just have to
okay,
look over under
yeah,
like a black hood, just the
okay.
darkness.
I can't wait. Oh, man, is that what you do when you start programming for V? Is that how you plan these hell weeks?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like my lights just like
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, I'm going to burpees, burpees, explosions,
I
back
don't have
squats." Okay. I'm curious, what is the last song that you played on your Spotify? If you have Spotify, some people have Pandora because 'cause they're psychopaths.
am I allowed to look or no? Do I just need to
Yeah,
know?
look.
I don't
No, look.
know. Don't look?
Look. No, look,
Oh,
look. Yes, look.
okay. Well,
I'm curious what
okay,
the
let me
last song
look.
was.
Spotify opening. The last song was
Oh, I'm Zola, la la la
of
la,
course,
I'm
it's
Zola.
a freaking song for my child. We really like Spidey and Friends. Yeah.
Dude,
I do yeah, no, that's it. That's all I got right now.
Spidey and his amazing friends, like Patrick Stump crushes that. You know that's the Fall Out Boy singer, right?
Oh, I didn't know that. No.
Yeah. No wonder it's, like, speaking to our millennial hearts.
No
Like,
wonder we love it so much.
"Oh, I am jamming. Spidey is amazing." You know, so I this is why I asked that question. I was super curious what it would be. I knew it would be a
Yep,
kid's song.
you got it,
That's why I
Spidey.
asked.
Yeah. Damn.
Okay, I have a couple things. Well, okay.
Are you reading?
Yeah, I have it's your birth it is. Do, do, do. Um, January 29th. Okay, it's a birthday book. Okay, so it's your birthday next week, and so I wanted to just read you your little astrology. It is literally like it's like 2 sentences. This was
I'm
my
so
great
excited.
grandma's book, and it's very accurate. I'm gonna read you yours, okay?
Okay.
January 29th. You are talented at improving methods, systems, and ways of life. You have a touch of restlessness and like to keep on the go. You are fond of travel. You love your family deeply without being too demonstrative. Usually, you work very hard for them.
Oh my
That
god.
is
It's
so spot
you could
on.
have wrote that for me. Like, I
Like,
think you I don't know if you just
you
made that
think
up,
I
like,
made that up?
actually in the book.
Yeah, I'm going to
How
just prove it.
crazy is that? Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, that's great that I'm in line with my birth date.
Isn't that insane?
I love that.
It's,
Is yours also is that good? Like, is yours
oh,
that fun?
spot on. It's like, it's,
Whoa. I
let me
want this
see.
book. I love this kind of shit.
You are an interesting conversationalist and make a very likable companion and true friend. With your variety of talents and interests, you owe it to yourself to work hard and study constantly for self improvement.
Ah,
You have an unusual imagination and a high degree of intuition.
so cool. I love that.
I don't know when this book was made, but it's like, it was my great grandma's.
That's
It's been
so
falling
cool.
apart. It's
Yeah,
the
protect it.
horoscope birthday book. It's amazing. Oh,
That's really
copyright 1958.
okay. Cool. I
Super
love
cute.
that.
Okay, so on the topic of your birthday, what is your go-to birthday meal? I mean, I'm assuming it's tacos, but, like, I'm just curious,
Mm,
like, what is the meal or the restaurant or, like, what is the thing that you're like, "On my birthday, I really would love to enjoy,"
I love
and then
pasta.
fill in the blank?
Bread, pasta. I love
Bread and
Italian.
pasta.
I love
Okay.
Italian food. We don't eat it ever, so that's probably why it's
Okay.
like a special treat, like tacos we eat every single
Yeah.
night. I love
Yeah.
them, yes, but we don't eat them all the time, and pasta,
Yeah.
it's not our healthiest choice, so we don't eat it as
Yeah.
often, so I, like,
Yeah.
love me some garlic bread, butter it up,
Yeah.
noodles, sauce it up, so
Mhm.
that's I mean, for many, many years of my life, we went to Olive Garden. So, we
I
do
love
elevate
this.
it a little bit usually now, but yeah.
Yeah, like Mama Stortinis.
Oh, love yeah, yes, yes, yes.
I have one last question
Oh.
before you, like, tell us where to find you. Is there anything really vulnerable that you would like to share with the other moms out there, and any words of encouragement to help get them to the other side if they're facing something similar?
The most vulnerable moment was, like, night 3 of postpartum for me, and I was, like, on the floor of my kitchen crying. I don't even know why I was crying, nobody knows,
Oh,
but I, like, texted my best friend Katie, and I said, like, "I am not okay," and I just remember sending the text, and the minute I hit send and then I saw her little bubbles typing back, I, like, felt better. Just
mhm,
knowing that, like, I had told somebody that I was, like, not
yeah,
okay, and that somebody was gonna, like she was like, "Do I need to" she just had twins. She's like, "Do I need to come over?" And I was like, "Absolutely not." But it's just like that is, I think, a vulnerability that nobody really knows besides her, and that
yeah,
I was, like, at the bottom of the I was literally on the floor of it was
yeah,
dark, it was the middle of the night, I was crying for no reason, and just,
yeah,
like, realizing that you're there, like, there is I
mhm,
was just it was so dark, and then but also, yeah, like, I had to recognize that and, like, reach out to anybody I knew that, like,
yeah,
could help. So
yeah,
I mean, many people find themselves there, right? Like in that
mhm,
low spot, especially postpartum, especially like with little kids, like you ride the wave with them every single day.
mhm,
So I would say you're not alone in that
yeah,
there's a lot of people out there that are willing to help and just even just saying it out loud,
totally.
I think is like a weight off your chest.
What you've said it, it's kind of been a theme of this is, like, curating those people who are in your village, and you knew that you by texting her, she was up, like, you knew that
Yeah.
she'd respond, like, you knew
Yeah.
that she was gonna be there for you, and not, like, her phone's not on silent at night, or, like, or you knew that that wasn't gonna go unanswered. You
Yeah.
just
Yeah. I
you reached
knew.
out to the right
Yeah.
person, and yeah.
Yeah, and I think the theme of, like, I would say almost this entire episode and, like, my entire life is that, like, I'm not afraid if I need something from someone in terms of, like, I know what I need, I'm gonna reach out, like,
Mhm.
I'm gonna make contact, I'm gonna, like and continue to make contact because, like,
Yeah,
I'm just very aware of, like, my feelings and what I need in that moment, and not in a way I hope not in a way that, like, sucks from other people, but in a
right.
way that's, like, vulnerable enough to, like, acknowledge that, like, you can help me and I'm asking for your help and, like, are you willing in a
Yeah.
way?
Will you be able to do this?
Please,
Thank
yeah,
you.
and then hopefully I get to reciprocate that
Yeah,
in another way, so, yeah.
yeah. Oh, that's awesome. No, I think that's super cool. Well, okay, the last thing I really want you to do is just tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at Gina.Paulson, and you can find pretty much everything through there, I would say. So I have a podcast, In Focus Podcast, it's brand new, and then, yeah, Instagram's where I hang out, so that's where you can find me.
Yeah. Find her on Instagram, check out all her stuff. You never know what you're gonna get, but you always know what you're gonna get, like, at the same time. So it's like, you don't know what's gonna happen next, but then you're, like, not surprised. So it's like, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense." Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much for spending your time with us. I know that it's really hard to find this time as an entrepreneur, a mom, all the things, so I appreciate you taking the time. I think that this is gonna be really helpful for other moms, and we're so happy to have you as a part of the Mom Boss community.
Yay, I'm so excited for this podcast. Thanks, baby.
You're welcome. And stop that